at that point, I had the feeling, but I didn't have the facts. I had to actually research and realize, wow, because you hit on the total myth of police brutality.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, I was like, well, we can't say it's not happening. Here's a video, here's an entire video where we're watching Philando Castile be murdered. And yet you just said, what are the facts behind this?
Mm-hmm.
What is going on behind this? How many blacks are actually being murdered by police officers? And of course, when I did my research, higher chance of being struck by lightning.
That's right.
Right.
The Washington Post did an analysis of how many people were killed by the police in the recent years, 1,000 of them. 500 of them were white, 250 were black. There were more unarmed white men killed by the police than unarmed black men. I was invited to Ohio State to give a speech before the football team by Coach Urban Meyer, then the coach. He called me and he asked me if I'd come in to talk to his players. And I said, Coach, are you aware that I went to the University of Michigan? And he paused for almost 10 seconds. I thought I killed him. So I came to the class and I addressed all these football players, and they were like this, Candace. They were not having it. They were not having it.
Black and
most
conservative.
of them were black, and they were all like this. And I'm sure they thought it was Uncle Tom and a sellout and all the words you've heard before.
Yep.
And I said, there were about 16 unarmed black men killed last year by the police. And you can probably name the unarmed black men that have been killed in recent years, whether it's Eric Gardner or Freddie Gray or Trayvon Martin. I know he wasn't killed by a cop, but he was killed by a guy that purported to be the neighborhood watchman. Sandra Bland, we all know their names. Michael Brown. I said there were more unarmed white men killed by the police than unarmed black men. Name one. Room was silent for almost 20 seconds.
See, that's that Larry Elder thing where you're just like, you realize you don't know anything.
And when you talk to cops, Candace, they will tell you they are more hesitant to pull the trigger on a black suspect than a white suspect. And this has been documented. There's an economist named Roland Fryer. He's at Harvard. He is so brilliant. He's I think he's the youngest tenured professor at Harvard ever, no matter the subject. And he did a study on whether or not the police were using deadly force against black people disproportionately. And he assumed he was going to find out that they were. He was shocked. He said it was the most shocking and surprising finding of his career.
Wow.
He found out the police were more hesitant to pull the trigger on a black person than on a white person. And there was another study done by some researchers at a university in Washington that found the same thing. And regarding what the damage this false accusation does, the police pull back. Once you call them racist, and they're afraid that if they pull somebody over who's black, they're going to be accused of racism. They may even be prosecuted. They may even lose their pension. They're going to pull back. And when they pull back, crime goes up. So outside of Ferguson and St. Louis, where Michael Brown was shot and killed, crime went up. Crime went up in Baltimore after Freddie Gray was killed. Crime went up in Chicago. The very people that these people, Black Lives Matter, claim that they care about, those are the ones who are hurt the most.
Right.
Why isn't Black Lives Matter out here in South Central Los Angeles dealing with the Crips and the Bloods? They're killing each other.
Black on black, and that goes against the narrative, right?
6,000 black people were killed last year, almost all of them killed by other black people,
Right.
as opposed to a tiny, tiny, tiny fraction of unarmed black people killed by the police. And unarmed, by the way, does not mean not dangerous. Michael Brown was unarmed, but they found his DNA on the officer's gun. He was charging, trying to get the gun.
Right.
So even if you're unarmed, doesn't mean you're not dangerous. But the point is, those are the ones that we care about when an unarmed black person is killed. Let's deal with them on a case-by-case basis. Almost always the officers are either exonerated or they can't get a guilty plea. And that's because most people recognize that what officers do is dangerous. They have to make split decisions at crucial times, and you have this big presumption of innocence, and you have to find them guilty by beyond a shadow of a doubt. It's hard to do that.
So your facts are racist, right? That's what they tell you. Your facts are racist.
Right.
And the one thing that the black community hates the most is black people acknowledging that our community as a whole has an issue, right? Black on black crime should be discussed. Over 90% of all the killings are black on black, right? So why do you think it is that our community never wants to hold the mirror up to ourselves?
Because that would then mean blaming the victim. That's how they see it. It's easier to yell and scream about racism than it is to look at black people and say, we have to change our behavior. We have to do better. Right. And we have to raise our game. You remember when the Dream Team destroyed the whole world in the Olympics and we won by 40, 50 points? The rest of the world didn't say, let's lower the hoop. Let's widen the hoop for us. They got better. They raised their game. And the rest of the world is no longer getting destroyed the way they used to. We need to raise our game. We need to graduate from high school. We need to stop having children outside of wedlock. We need to do the right thing by the children that we bring into the world. And we're not doing that.